Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Friday, Tom, and I've got a date for you. It's National Corn on the Cob Day. Don't ask me why it's National Corn on the Cob Day in the middle of June, because to me, corn is an August thing.
Knee high by the 4th of July. So what's up with National Corn on the Cob Day before it's even knee high?
That's what I'm saying. It makes no sense to me. So if you are celebrating National Corn on the Cob Day today, please put in the comments how you plan to do that with corn that wasn't like frozen all winter.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes. I thought you'd like, yeah. That's
maybe it's because this is the planning day. I don't know.
You
got nothing, right?
I got nothing. That's exactly right. Tom, it's so quiet today.
Yes, because there are other people in the house.
I miss your dog. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch yesterday's program. Yesterday, Tom's dog commented throughout the program. In 29 minutes of program, he or she, I didn't know, he managed to make 259 sounds, far eclipsing our estimates.
The question I have is, in a week that we're talking about time management, part of your time, spending your time, was going back to rewatch it and count how many times that happened.
There you have it. And by the way, Tom, John Hanson told me after the program yesterday, he wanted you to show your dog because people love dogs. And it would have given us like instant credibility, like, oh, Tom's got such a cute dog. He was setting you up for the perfect moment where everyone's like, these guys aren't just knuckleheads. They're knuckleheads with a really cute dog. You didn't take it. And now this morning again, John's saying you should have shown the dog. It's not too late. You could go get the dog. I would love to see your dog.
Maybe next week. I don't want to walk upstairs and get the dog. I really don't. Because he can't even walk down the stairs. I mean, his legs are about that long. I'm telling you. He is a low rider.
Like he's a sausage.
He is. He's a low rider if you've ever seen one. He's. It's funny because our other dog is small. Yeah, I think if he tried, he could do the limbo under our other dog.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He's
small.
Well, Tom, with that, let's move into time management because we've now wasted 3 minutes and 23 seconds talking about your dog that you won't show us. Very sad. Very, very sad. That's okay. I understand. I might get my cat out one day if that's what it takes. And John's giving us lots of comments. I like this one. Renegades do what they don't want to do. And I think that's go get your dog.
I don't know that renegades do what they don't want to do. They do what others might not want to do, or they just do what they think is right. They don't bow down to peer pressure. They do what they believe is right in the moment.
Right in the moment?
Sorry.
Or best in the moment?
Real.
And John, I love this comment. This is my last show due to the fact that he won't show the dog.
All right, I'll take a picture and I'll post a picture of him in the Ring of Renegades face. Okay. Maybe I'll take a video. Liz probably has 800 videos on her phone of our dogs, so I think
a video of your dog on this Friday would be a marvelous addition to our Facebook feed.
Okay.
Where we deal with all kinds of big issues. So, folks, we're talking about time management. I'm going to jump into time management. Over the course of the week, we've talked about why time management is so important, what it is, how it works, when it's ineffective, its value. And today we're going to wrap a neat little bow around it and sum things up. But before we do that, Tom, you know I live for the opportunity to talk about what's coming up. And we've got a networking event that is the best in the world. The Renegade Roundup networking event is Thursday, June 24th at 4 p.m. You want to get into the Facebook group, the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, and sign up for that event. Put it on your calendar. We have great people get together and really start talking about what matters. It's a community of people that share and care. And that caring is really evident in the things we do. I marvel at some of the topics that come up. Like there are times when people say things, whoa, that's really cool that I was here to hear that being shared. They're over Zoom. And so all you have to do is hit the button and you're there, pop in, meet people, and build your network around a group of renegades. And renegades are different than the average person out there. And so if you haven't tried that, please join us June 24th, 4 p.m. Eastern time. So Tom, I'm just taking charge today.
It's okay.
Yeah, I figured you've had a busy week. So Tom, we've gotten to the place, it's Friday, and on Friday we wrap up the week. And I think each week what I try to do is reflect on what I've learned over the course of the week, because people may not know this, but you and I talk about these things throughout the week. We think about this for a week or so in advance. We write some content usually around this theme. So I feel like whatever we've talked about over the week on this program and the other things we do, I am really into like a zone of time management. And I had a couple of really interesting thoughts come up about how I manage time. And I'm sure you did too. So as you look back on the week, what do you take away from it and go, oh, wow, huh?
It's funny because you said something like, we're going to wrap it up and put a bow on it. And I'm not, I think what I discovered about time management, and I think I've probably known this, at least for me, is that I just can't always control it. You can do the best you can with what you have and try to manage your time. I've got this event coming up this weekend that I've been working on all week. And my intent was not to stay up really late any night doing it. That was my goal. It didn't work out. Last night was kind of a late night. And so I think that's one of the challenges that we face, is that we want to manage things. And it's in that phrase of time management. And so often we can't manage everything. We can't manage what other people are going to do, how they're going to react, what is in their time frame. And so, it's an interesting concept of, yes, I'm going to figure out how to manage my time when it's so much of it can become out of our control. I think, and this is one of the things we talked about at the beginning of the week, was a little bit of time management is a little bit about prioritizing. At some point you have to sit down and determine what do you think is the highest priority, and then figure out when you are going to do those things that are the highest priority. And I think sometimes we struggle with time management because some of the things that are the highest priority are either the things we don't want to do, or we're not really strong at doing them. And so we set them aside, even though in our mind or on our to-do list, they are listed as the highest priority. That doesn't mean that it gets accomplished in that way.
Could it be two other aspects also? Don't know how to do it, and also afraid to do it.
Absolutely.
Because I find there are times when my fear gets in the way of, if I do this thing, it's going to create even bigger problems. And bigger problems mean more time management headaches. More, I remember working on a website years ago, and the person was like, what if we really, this website looks really good. What if we get really busy? And so he kept delaying the start of the website, the launch, because he was afraid he would get really busy. And I'm like, finally, why'd we do this?
Right? Isn't that what you wanted?
But he was worried about overcoming the new challenges of success. Where am I going to find more employees? I don't have enough cash registers. How would I deal with all these issues that are going to crop up? And I think we do that in our heads. The default mechanism is, let's make everything into the worst case possible. I certainly am good at that. And I think time management is the way to, I don't have time for it, or I didn't get to it, or it wasn't a priority. I think the thing that I take away from the week as I looked at my calendaring and my scheduling and my management of time is I don't build my day as powerfully as I can. I know when I have strengths. I'm a morning person. I'm good from about 7 to 11. And then from 11 to 1 or 2, I really slump. And what can overcome that for me is just simply talking to people. So I'm trying to rebuild my calendar so that I'm scheduling appointments in the early afternoon to call people, because that's when that's a way to overcome that. I don't get tired when I'm on the phone with someone.
Sure.
And I think the other thing that really stuck out to me over the course of the week was building in time for self-care. Whether that's walking around the block, whether that's getting up to make a second cup of coffee, whether it's walking your dog, reading the paper, reading a book for 15 minutes, and really saying, I can't go from 8 to 4 straight through.
Sure. Well, and I think, like you said, we have those times that we are most effective. And so often we try to do things that take a lot of time and effort, or they take a lot of focus and attention at the time when we are not at our best. And I think that's another piece of the challenge of discovering, like, okay, when are you most able to focus? And so that you are able to do something in a time that is probably what you might expect, rather than, wow, why this, a number of times you said, man, this is taking a long time. Why is that? And I don't think we stop and think about, because it might be at a time when we're not at our best. And so it's more about where we're at personally, rather than the challenge or the thing that you're trying to accomplish.
Someone shared with me yesterday that they've discovered about their time management that they don't have the right amount of time for important tasks. So they would say, I could do this thing in 1 hour, but it would take 3. And so their calendar was constantly messed up. Either they didn't give it the 3 hours it needed, or they were skipping to appointments that they had in those other 2 hours. And it was just a bad recipe. And they said that they never really thought about it from the perspective of stepping back from their calendar and saying, okay, how often do I actually fit something in? Like, I have a project that I'm going to do this weekend at the house, and I have a rule of 4s. I think I've shared this before. My rule of 4s for every home project is however many hours I think it's going to take 4 times as long. So if I tell you it's a 5-hour project, it's a 20-hour project. And I have found that is the key to me doing home projects. With my work, there are times that I have the rule of 3s. If I think it's going to take X number of hours, I'm going to give myself 3 times that. You can always fill the time.
Sure.
I mean, no one ever, if you block 6 hours out to do something and it gets done in 2, you will fill that time. I guarantee.
No doubt. There's no
But
doubt.
if you do it the other way, if you book 2 hours for it and it takes 6, you've thrown everything and other people's schedules. That's the other thing that, when I mess up my schedule, it affects other people.
Sure. Well, and I think that, we look at our time, you look at your calendar and you see, oh, I got this block of time that's open. The favorite phrase, I think I could squeeze you in at whatever time. And usually if you're going to say, I'm going to squeeze you in, that means you probably ought to think about rescheduling it, because you're trying to fit it in a time slot that you probably think you really don't have the time to do. You really should be focused on whatever is right before it or whatever is after it. But you're thinking, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and put this in there because it's an open space. In some ways, and I think you talk about this a lot, that there's nothing worse for you to open up and look and see a blank calendar or holes in your calendar.
Yes.
And I think as as we think about that and think, oh, here's a blank, all right, I have a meeting at noon and then I have a meeting at 2. Oh, 1 o'clock, I can fit you in. When in reality, are we really taking time to not only have the meeting at noon, but step back and say,
I'm sorry, this is a great comment.
Lord, I tell you.
Squeeze in the dog showing.
It's amazing what we get fascinated about sometimes. No, I just think that it's just because there's an opening doesn't mean we have to fill it with something else, and I think that was the other thing that I came away as I was thinking about that. I don't know if it was yesterday or Wednesday. Do we schedule time for things like reflection on what we just did, or travel, or, hey, you know what? I know I'm going to need a break in the day. So if I really have scheduled straight through, what am I going to do when I'm like, wow, I'm really tired? Or, I never really stopped to have breakfast. What am I going to do about that? And I think that some of those things that are critically important to our success, whether it's self-care or better understanding what we are trying to do or what we have just done, I think those are things that we should think about. How do we schedule them into our day as a way to say, I'm not just going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next. I'm taking an action and actually stopping to consider, what are the results? What did I learn? And what would I do differently?
Sounds like your one thing right there.
I think so. I don't know.
Okay. My one thing is that planning really helps time management. You're either managing your time or your time is managing you. And I find that when I plan my day, I get more done, it's more efficient, and I enjoy it more. I scope things out. Like you and I each have a proposal to put together for a conference. And I blocked some time out today to play with that. And it was like, okay, I was thinking I might end up having to do it over the weekend. But then it's like, you know what? I got a couple hours this morning. I could block that in and just get that off the plate.
Sure.
And thinking like that, someone described it to me a couple months ago as chess pieces. Your time is like chess pieces. How do you want to use that time and win the game of chess? You got to think 3-4 moves in advance. So you got to be thinking about 4 o'clock at 8 a.m.
Sure.
Where do I want to be at 4 o'clock? What if I schedule a meeting 2 hours away from home? That means a 4 o'clock meeting goes till 5 o'clock. I'm not home until 7 on a Friday afternoon. Now, where I live in Baltimore, where you live in Baltimore, that's a long drive home on a Friday afternoon.
Yes.
I wouldn't schedule that meeting. I'd do a Zoom meeting, or I'd say, you know what, let's push that to next week.
Right, because that there are going to be other challenges that you're going to face.
Exactly. Let me get a comment from Tim in. Time management is not about managing unforeseen events. It's about managing time in such a fashion that unforeseen events don't completely derail our train. That's a great insight. I like that a lot, because unforeseen things are going to come in. If you're working with employees as a manager, you're going to have moments when someone comes in and goes, we had a production problem. You need to come help us. Or we're having two of our employees are into an argument. If you're a manager or leader and you don't schedule time for those things in your day, if you block out your day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. straight through, no breaks, I'll guarantee you will not get through a day without having some unforeseen event get in the way, and it'll derail everything. I remember Mad Men. Did you ever watch Mad Men, the TV show?
No.
Well, it was always great because Don Draper was this ad executive, and every now and then there'd be some major crisis with a client, and he would go to a secretary, again, this is the 50s, and say to her, clear my calendar for the afternoon. That's one way to solve the problem.
Correct. It creates another problem for somebody else.
Correct. And also for that person, because if you're when we clear our calendar and you tell 5 people, hey, I don't have time for you today, you're basically saying you're not as important to me as you were when I scheduled this.
Right.
Just like the person who gets squeezed in.
Correct.
You're just accommodating them. You're not really saying I value your time.
Yeah.
So with that, Tom, we should probably call it a close for today. This has been a great week of talking about time management. I was I had a little trepidation about this topic when we got into it, but it's been really useful. And really, there are some weeks where I'm just like, wow, I didn't expect to get all that. This is one of those weeks where I really feel like I learned a lot about myself and about how I see time in the course of this week. And folks, if you had an epiphany about time, there's a nice big word for you, Tom. If you you want to share your thoughts about Tom, we'd love to see it in the comments. Your comments are fuel to everyone who reads them. And I know people read them. I know in actuality, Tom, I'm pretty convinced that people read the comments more than they watch the videos sometimes. So don't be afraid to put your comments there. I read every single comment. Tom reads every single comment. And sometimes we'll respond. I'll ask a question about it. Tom will ask a question. We really do want to understand. And within this group of the Ring of Renegades on Facebook, we're trying to help each other understand and better position ourselves with more knowledge, experience, and perspective. So pretty good, huh?
That's
it's great seeing your face like, wow, he's going somewhere with this. This is getting
just sitting back and enjoying the ride.
There you go. So folks, please join that Facebook group if you haven't done it. And then the second thing I would tell you is if you have not gotten on our email list, you need to get on our email list. We send out 2 emails a week on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on where we are in the week. We send out something called the Lantern. The Lantern is really short and to the point. We try to give you 3 simple suggestions around our topic of the week. We also send out the Renegade Way on Monday, sometimes Sunday, depending on the week. And the Renegade Way is a little longer, and it's really a deep dive into some aspect of the topic of the week. And someone said to me, I love the Renegade Way because you personalize this to yourselves. And I will tell you, I find that they are easier and easier to write because we really are digging into things. I'm talking about my topic this week coming up. I'll preview for it if you want. It's about whether you manage your time or whether you're managed by your time. And I think that's a great discussion. And I put a poll in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group asking people about that. So
excellent.
There's a great way to actually work through a topic. And we choose these topics for these programs around things that we hear and see and have experienced that just aren't running perfectly. So please, folks, take advantage of this. The last thing you can do for us, and I really mean this, invite someone into the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. If you've got a friend who's a renegade, if you've got a friend who's trying to figure it out, we would love to have them in the group. It's a private group. You have to give us a little information. You have to tell us why you're a renegade, but it's not really that big a deal. Tell us why you're a renegade, and then you can be in the group, and you can join a growing community of, last time I looked, 1,009 people who are carving their own pathway to success. So with that, Tom, thank you so much. It's been a great week. Everyone, we will see you again on Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And if you don't know about the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, because I've talked about it for the last 12 minutes, here's some more information.
Have a great week, everyone.
Carving your own path is tough. You want and need a community to offer you insights and advice, share inspiration, provide support, and save you time and money. But where do you find all that? Here's the easy answer: the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where leaders, entrepreneurs, and business owners identify their next steps. Here's some of what you will find at the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Just go to ringofrenegades.com and join today. Find and accomplish those next steps.